Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on tips for living in Houghton. This PowerPoint presentation will also be presented live on our Facebook page for new incoming students. So if there's any references in this PowerPoint that talks about the fall or spring semester specifically, that is why. But otherwise, the information is true through and through. If you are a new student and you're watching this video, first of all, I would like to say welcome to Michigan Tech. We are happy to have you, and we have a great international student community here on campus for you to get to know. Moving into an introduction, my name is Jamie Surdich, and I am the International Student and Scholar Advisor in the International Programs and Services Department at Michigan Tech. I am a DSO for the F1 side, and I'm also an ARO for the J1 side. So if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to me or our department in general, and someone can assist you. But moving into the topics today, we will be talking about a few different things pertaining to what life is like living in Houghton. Obviously, as you can see from the picture on this slide here, the weather is a big thing that a lot of people find to be a challenge when they're first moving here. Houghton is a very, very cold place, and Houghton is actually very unique in the fact that it experiences all four seasons throughout the year. So some countries are warm all throughout the year, so they may not have a winter, but we have all four seasons. Some may be longer than others, like winter being the longest season, but otherwise we do have all four seasons that we have to prepare for in this area. And so, like I mentioned, winter is the longest season here. And so this is the one that you will need to be the most prepared for. This is what everyone says is unexpected when they come to Michigan Tech, is they do not expect the weather to be like it is. So in the winter, the average temperature in a day could be a high of 23 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -5 Celsius, or the low can be as low as 5 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -17 degrees Celsius. So as you can see, even from those temperatures, it gets very, very cold here. So snow for the timeline will normally come around November or December. Obviously, this may change. October, we might start seeing some frost on the ground in the mornings as it starts to get colder, but the heaviest snowfalls normally start around November or December. And then it snows all the way through the winter until about April is when we start seeing the snow start to melt. So obviously in recent years, especially this past winter when this video is being recorded, this was a very mild winter for us. And so we didn't get as much snow as we normally do. However, this area on average normally gets around 250 inches of snow per year from January through December. So the one piece of advice that we like to give to our new international students regarding the winter is to make sure that you find fun things to do during each season. So that way you can enjoy your time. And especially in the cold winter months, the time passes a lot quicker. It gives you a great opportunity to enjoy our beautiful outdoors and learn something new. For example, ice skating, Mount Ripley at Michigan Tech. You can ski and snowboard there as a student for a discounted price. And there's just many things in this area that you can do on the tech trails, on the other trails. And so definitely take advantage of the outdoors and find something that you enjoy. And we promise you, you will be a lot happier and enjoy these seasons a lot more in the beautiful area that Houghton is. So here is a picture. I've taken a picture from about every season in the area. This is just on residential roads. And so this is normally about our springtime. You can see that there's still snow there, but you know, the ice on the canal had been melted already. So it's starting to get a little warmer. You can see that the sun is out, but we still have some snow. So this is the time where there will be a lot of puddles around. So that's something to prepare for as well. This is a summer picture. This is the Portage Lift Bridge. The summer is very, very beautiful here. It does get warm, but not super warm. I would say maybe on average, you know, the 70s is probably our high, maybe 80s. But in the summer, as you can see here, we have very, very beautiful sunsets. And especially by the bridge, it's a beautiful backdrop. So definitely a lot to do outdoors here in the summer. The fall, in terms of nature and the views, is definitely my favorite. During fall or autumn, the leaves start to change on the trees, and so there's just beautiful, beautiful views. If you go an hour north of Houghton, in a place called Copper Harbor that's very far north. The trees and the views are just beautiful up there. So again, make sure you get outside and you enjoy, the beauty that Houghton has, because it is definitely very beautiful in every season. Even though the winter can be a little bit more challenging, it still is truly beautiful. So again, as I mentioned, make sure you're prepared for all seasons, because chances are where you're from is a lot different than our area. So you want to make sure that you're prepared. So starting with the winter, obviously, like I said, this is the most important one. So you want to make sure that you have warm clothing, and this means dressing with layers. So if it's a really cold day, you can wear a long sleeve t-shirt with maybe a sweatshirt on top of that and a winter jacket on top of that. You want to make sure that you are layered. Another thing is drinking enough water. You want to make sure you're hydrated. And obviously, this goes for any season, but especially in the winter, even though it's cold, you may think, oh, I don't need to drink water. But with the cold temperatures, that's a lot on our bodies. So you want to make sure that you do drink enough water. Vitamin D is something that you will hear through and through from people at Michigan Tech, that it's so important to take, because as you can see from this picture, in the winter, there is a lot of gray, cloudy skies throughout most of it. And so you want to make sure that you take some vitamin D pills. So then that way, you're getting that vitamin D, since we don't really see the sun as much. Again, making sure you find fun activities to try. There's a lot to do. There's ice skating on campus at the student ice arena. There is at Mount Ripley, as I mentioned before, skiing and snowboarding. So definitely take advantage of some of those. And otherwise, there's plenty of other things that you can find in your own time. And then finally, being careful of ice and snow. It's very important that when you're traveling in the winter, you leave enough time for yourself, so that way you're not rushing, whether that's in your vehicle or just walking to campus. You have to be careful. Make sure, again, the proper clothing that you have, make sure that you have a good pair of boots that will be able to get you through the ice and the snow without hurting yourself. In the spring, as I mentioned before, spring is the time where all of our snow that we have on the ground is starting to melt. And so with that, there are a lot of puddles. So make sure that in the spring, you are wearing weather appropriate shoes. So whether that's, rain boots, you might choose to buy some rubber rain boots so your shoes don't get wet. Or if you have an old pair of tennis shoes that you don't mind get wet, make sure you dress appropriately. In the spring, it's a little milder temperatures. I mean, it's not as cold as winter and not as warm as summer, but you could wear maybe a light sweatshirt and a pair of pants, or, something like that. In the summer, obviously, the summer is our warmest season. After coming out of the winter and the spring, the summer feels very hot. So you'll want to make sure you dress in cooler clothing. Again, obviously, drinking a lot of water. There are days where the sun is beating down on you all day and it's 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'll want to make sure that, you stay hydrated and that you dress so that you are cooler since it's warmer. And then, like I said, get outdoors. In any season, getting outdoors is a great option for you. And fall, like I mentioned, my favorite part is enjoy the fall colors. There are so many beautiful places up here where you can go to enjoy the fall colors. Even in our department where we are in the administration building, even out our windows in the fall, we have a beautiful view across the canal of just the pretty, leaves changing, and it's just great. So just make sure you enjoy those fall colors. Take pictures, take all the pictures to remember the nature, and just have as much fun as you can. And this is the time as well that you're going to want to start taking out your warmer clothes, because it's getting a little bit chillier now. It's getting to be colder at night. I mean, it's still warm during the day, but a little colder at night. So clothing, again, like I mentioned, this is aimed directly at those that are arriving in the fall semester. But in the fall semester, this is actually the ending of summer / the beginning of fall. So you want to make sure you plan accordingly with your clothes right there. So one thing to note too is if you are coming at that time, you don't need to pack clothes from home for all seasons right away. So whatever time of the year you're coming for, you can bring those clothes, but you can always buy stuff. There's always, winter gear at some of our local stores, at Walmart. So you can definitely purchase some clothing when you arrive as well. And that's probably, especially for the winter, better suited to buy here because we're used to those rough winters. And one thing that I like to do, especially, during the between the seasons time of the year, is I like to look at the weather forecast ahead of time before I leave my house for the day. So then that way I can plan ahead and see what I should wear. If it's supposed to be cold in the morning and warm in the afternoon, I might bring, an extra hoodie or an extra pair of clothes. So just make sure that you plan ahead. And so here are some examples of clothing that I have. So in this first one, this is in the summer. So he's wearing a short sleeve t-shirt, a pair of shorts, and it looks like he's probably hiking. It looks like he's in the middle of the woods. So he's wearing a nice pair of hiking shoes. So that's also very important if you plan on going on our trails. This picture of this family right here, this is during the fall season. So you can see that they're not completely dressed for winter, but they're not wearing what he's wearing either. So they're wearing, long sleeve shirts or, a small coat, long pants, maybe boots or shoes. So definitely make sure you adapt to the weather. And then this is something that I just put down for the spring, because again, it's similar to fall where it's not super warm yet, but you don't want to be wearing a short sleeve and you don't want to be wearing a winter jacket. So just a nice coat, a nice pair of pants, and then whatever shoes you might want to wear. All right, so I talked a little bit about shopping, so I'll go more into depth on this slide. The first thing that we like to mention that's of note to our international students is not many of our stores have a good variety of international foods. In the area, the one that we do recommend to students and what we have heard of having, a lot of international spices and food for recipes is Jim's Food Mart by campus. It's a maybe 5-minute walk from the main campus. They are probably your best option in terms of international foods in this area. Walmart has been getting better over the past few years, but they still don't have as much as a lot of our students would like for their recipes, for their authentic, home country foods. But it is an option too. So we would recommend, maybe if you land in Chicago, you can get some of these at the airport. A lot of our students have said they've done that. Or, you might be able to order some online as well. For clothing, again, like I mentioned, you really want to enjoy the nature here because for clothing options in stores, we don't really have that many options compared to bigger cities. Obviously, Walmart is our biggest one. It's the cheapest, it's the most inexpensive. So a lot of our students like shopping at Walmart for their basic needs. Otherwise, Maurice's is a local clothing store. It is a bit pricier, but in terms of dress clothes, when it comes time for career fair or any other things that you may need to dress up for, Maurice's is a great option. Otherwise, in downtown Houghton, especially, we do have some local stores that do sell clothing, especially when it comes to Michigan or Upper Peninsula gear. A lot of our local stores sell stuff like that. So that's kind of nice, either for yourself or for a souvenir for someone back home. So, like I said, online shopping will probably be very popular for you, whether that's for clothes, furniture for your apartment, or food and spices. It's really up to you, whatever option is most efficient. But like I said, a lot of our students have not had much success with getting their, authentic ingredients at our stores here. But Jim's is where we would recommend. So for banking, we do have quite a few options in the area. However, the one that we would recommend is the Flagstar Bank. For Flagstar Bank, this is actually within walking distance of campus. It's maybe like a 2 or 3 minute walk from our building on the end of campus. And so you don't need a social security number to open an account there. And so because of that, this is a bank that is chosen by a lot of our international community. And so with that being said, they're familiar with international transfers and working with international bank accounts and wiring. So we would definitely recommend Flagstar. However, there are other great options. For example, Breakwater Federal Credit Union. They are located in Houghton, but they're a ways away from campus. So it might not be the most efficient for you if you don't have transportation or a bike. The one thing to note with this is you do need a social security number to open an account there. So that's kind of the difference between Flagstar and all these other banks. And then again, there's other banks as well throughout the local area, like Miners State Bank and Superior National Bank and Trust. These are all great options, but Flagstar is definitely where we see most of our international students go to. And moving into some cell phone companies, obviously in our area, we have companies that are bigger chains in the United States, such as AT&T and Verizon. They are great options. However, their plans tend to be a little bit more expensive, so students don't always lean towards that option. H2O Wireless is a local company, and the owner, Jason, he doesn't actually have a storefront, but he has a cell phone number that we have that if you ever want to connect with him, let us know. We can pass along his number. And the nice thing about him is he meets the students on campus. And so he'll meet you in one of our buildings, the Memorial Union building, and he'll get your SIM card switched over to a US phone number. And he is also very cheap compared to a lot of these other options. So he is definitely the one that we always recommend, and he's very helpful and quick with what he does. Other than that, Straight Talk, you can see a lot of the reloadable cards of Straight Talk at Walmart. So again, that's totally an option, a great option. It definitely is more cheaper than AT&T and Verizon, but all of these are great options. So that is the end of this PowerPoint presentation. Obviously, right now, this is a recorded session, so we can't take questions. But if you do have questions, you can always reach out to our department. Our information is listed on the slide here. You can reach us via email, phone, whichever is most convenient for you. And a lot of the questions that our students ask are also on our website. So if you ever have any questions, be sure to refer to our website. And then if you need any clarification or if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to us. So thank you for watching, and we hope to see you soon.